Alright, so first and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the Akwath, which is the sincere sisters, and Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathen. Now this lesson is going to be based on this third storm that's expected to hit the Hawaiian Islands. And those Hawaiian Islands, they've been getting hit with a lot of storms recently. The Lord's really been pouring out his wrath upon those people. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. It says, full alert, city shares update on preparations for incoming storm. That a third storm is expected to hit the islands on Thursday, April 9th. That it's not so much rainfall over the period of time, it's how fast the rain can fall in that period of time, said John Bravender from the National Weather Service. On Monday, April 6th, a flood watch was issued for all islands until February, April 10th. City officials gathered at Honolulu Hal on Monday to update the public on its preparations for the incoming storm. So we are telling you now the storm is going to be bad, an official said. NWS warned of possible flash flooding across the islands from excessive rainfall. Said our city's on full alert. Mayor Rick Blangiardi said, be prepared for possible evacuations. Have your go bag ready. Mayor Blangiardi said the city does not know which places may be hit or if evacuations will be necessary. He urged the public to trust their instincts. Said if you don't feel safe, leave early, Mayor Blangiardi added. Interim Police Chief Raid Vanek agreed with the mayor's statements for the public to be aware. Said take this warning seriously. Do what you need to do now to prepare, Interim Police Chief Vanek said. The mayor said the city is preparing for shelters to be ready when needed. Said stay informed, stay prepared, and honestly stay connected. Officials warned the public to prepare for storm impacts now while the storm has not yet hit. Said our goal is to keep chaos from happening in the first place, an incident management representative said. Said if you lose electricity, conserve water automatically, said Ernie Lau, chief engineer of the Board of Water Supply. Water supply will be limited if power is lost, he said. Hawaiian Electric announced it was proactively preparing its response to the incoming severe weather. Said the unprecedented nature of recent storms also highlights the need for communities across the state to prepare for power outages that may be caused by the high winds and intense rainfall that accompanies these storm systems. Said HECO advised residents take the following safety precautions. Says make sure emergency equipment is operational and buy extra batteries. If someone in your household depends on electricity-powered medical equipment, check backup facilities and plan where to go if evacuating. Said stay at least 10 feet away from power lines when preparing your home for the storm. Do not trim trees now, as most counties will suspend trash and debris pickup before a storm. Said instead tie down or secure any loose branches and other debris. So, those people out there, they got a lot they got to deal with. in regards to these storms. And this is how you know that we're living in the last days, because something's always happening. A storm, a fire, an earthquake, a war breaking out. Like it's just always something. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And those islands, those Hawaiian islands, they're getting hit with storms. That's what's been happening out there recently. And these aren't some light storms. These are some destructive storms that the Lord has been unleashing upon them. Isaiah 28:2. Behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. And when it comes to these storms, they can be very destructive. Knocking trees over, snapping power lines, tearing the roofing off of homes and different buildings, causing flash flooding. Yeah, these are not some, just light, easy to deal with storms. These are the type of storms that force people to have to evacuate. These are some very serious and dangerous and potentially deadly storms. Psalms 83, Psalms 83:14. As the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. Verse 15. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. And that's what the Lord is doing. He's making people afraid with his storm. Because that's why the mayor and the police chief are telling people, like, hey, stay prepared. And if you don't feel safe, then, then leave, because they understand how destructive and potentially deadly these storms can become. So they're warning people, like, hey, take this seriously. This is not a joke. There's that old saying in the world, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So if you're always prepared to move at a moment's notice, when things go sideways, you don't have to scatter looking for, all your documents that you'll need and things like that. You'll already be ready to go. And that's the same as how those of us of the hopeful elect are supposed to be moving, more spiritually than anything, because we know that the Lord is getting ready to destroy this place. But before he fully destroys this place, a whole lot of chaos is going to consume America. The race wars, the civil wars, the famines, the power outages. Things are about to get very, very apocalyptic and chaotic out here. So spiritually, those of us of the hopeful elect, we have to continue to prepare to, experience these things. And when the Lord puts the Spirit on you to move, you got to be ready to move. There's not going to be any time to stick around and, do this, that, and the third. Like, when it's time to move, you just got to get up and go. And basically, that's the time and season that we're in. We're in the time and season where the Lord is visiting this world with great judgments. Whether it's fires, whether it's earthquakes, whether it's hurricanes, tornadoes, torrential rainstorms that result in flash flooding, Whether it's wars breaking out, whether it's famines, civil wars, race wars, whatever it is, the Lord is definitely pouring out his wrath upon the earth. There is no denying that. Anybody with eyes to see, spiritual eyes to see, can tell that we are in the last days. And see, those of us of the hopeful elect, we seem to be really the only ones taking it seriously. The rest of these people, in one way or another, they're just being carnal. Whether they're carnally preparing by, building up some kind of bunker and storing up food and water, thinking that's going to keep them safe, which it won't. Or whether these people are just, completely ignoring everything, all the warnings, and, they're just out here living their life, just acting like nothing's going on. There's a lot of people who trust in their government to keep them safe and do all the work. And these people are not trying to prepare for themselves in any type of way. So when judgment comes, those people, they have no hedge of protection. And they'll have no one to blame but themselves, because they're getting the warnings. They're being warned that things are about to happen and that they should prepare. But a lot of these people, it's just not on their spirit to prepare. They don't want to worry about that. They don't want to think about that. All they want to do is play around all the time. A lot of these people don't know how to take something seriously. Especially here in America, because people are not taught to take anything seriously. Everything has to be a joke. Everything has to be a game. It's like the men of the Lord say, as far as, the a lot of these apocalyptic movies. Majority of people will go and watch these movies and they just look at it as entertainment. They don't understand that these events are actually going to take place. And that's the problem. A lot of people, the Lord has not put the Spirit on them to look at things through spiritual lenses. So they don't understand that what they're watching can actually happen. Like I said, a lot of people are putting way too much faith in the government, thinking that the government won't allow civil wars and things like that to break out in this country. And it's like, the government doesn't control anything. It's the will of the Heavenly Father. If the Heavenly Father wants war, then that's exactly what it's going to be. Just look at what's happening with Iran right now. Nobody in their right mind wants war to happen. But if the Lord puts the Spirit on you to start a war, then that's what's going to happen, because the actions of man is controlled by the Lord. Even the scriptures tell us that a man's goings are of the Lord. How then can a man understand his own way? So for all of these, so with that in mind, it makes sense why all of these people who don't take anything seriously, why they act the way that they do, because these people who don't take these warnings seriously, they're wicked people whom the Lord is not dealing with. That's why he has not put his Spirit on them, to understand how serious these times are and why they need to stop messing around and, start preparing. See, majority of these people are about to get wiped out and they don't even know it. But those of us of the hopeful elect who have been blessed with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, we know it. And we just pray that we are not a part of that number. We want to be a part of the number that has been chosen from the foundation of the world to endure unto the end and be saved, not destroyed. Yeah, but with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash, the Wadi Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere Akwath out there. And shalom to the members of the hopeful elect who are scattered amongst these other nations and look like these other nations. I hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up, and Ottawa and Ratazah. Till next time, Shalom.